much more. We were ready for this. So thank you to everybody who's doing their part, from our meteorologists to our reporters and anchors, to our transportation cabinet workers, emergency management personnel, our state troopers, our National Guard, to everyone out there doing this hard work. Thank you. We're not through it yet, but you've done an incredible job thus far. And because of that, our people have remained safe. We've had a lot of prep time, but there's still a lot of work to do. And the most important thing that people can do today is to stay home and to stay safe, to let us do as much work possible, to let us clear as many roads, to let us treat the roads for salt, to let us deal with the 1 to 3 inches of snow that's expected throughout the rest of the day, and to let the utility companies restore power to as many people as possible. Remember, this is a significant snow and ice event, so the roadways are still dangerous. You might be able to see the pavement, but that doesn't mean that it's not slick. A half an inch of ice is very hard to treat, especially when it coats everything. To date, KSP dispatchers have reported more than 170 car accidents, 27 accidents with injuries, and over 280 stranded motorists have been helped. KSP dispatchers have answered 1,450 calls for service. That means when you get out there in your vehicle, there's a decent chance that you're going to end up sliding off the road and needing help. So again, if you can stay home today, please do so. As a reminder, we have about 24 hours before it gets so cold that the salt is not going to work. So we need as much time and as much road to do as much work as possible throughout the course of today. Remember, the folks that are out treating the roads and trying to restore power, those are Kentuckians. They've left their family today. They want to go home to their family tonight. Remember, you being safe and staying inside makes them safer. If you have to be on the roadways, please go slow, because their safety is in your hands, just like they are trying to make sure that all of us are safe. So we're still in the midst of a very significant weather event. Let's cue up our weather slides. We have been through 6 to 8 inches of snow, followed by at least a half an inch of ice across many parts of Kentucky. A half an inch of ice can bring down power lines, and has, along with tree limbs. And as we'll get through in a little bit, we expect more today. Before I talk about this slide, currently we've got about 84,000 Kentuckians or Kentucky homes without power right now. That's down from 96,000 from about an hour ago. We're going to see these numbers fluctuate up and down as our utility companies do as much as they can today. We've got 2,300 transportation cabinet personnel working either in offices or out on the roadways to do our very best to clear them. The level of ice means nearly every single road is icy, and we need as many folks off of them as possible. Well, we also have, and we'll show it to you, wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour today. That can make it dangerous for those utility workers to go up in the buckets, and that further complicates their job, especially if there are too many people on the roads. The bottom line is, again, we got one day to get power back to as many Kentuckians as we can before it gets really cold. Obviously, the utility companies are continuing and will continue to work past today, but we want to make as much progress as we can, and we'll be looking at that power number as the day progresses. All right, as we look at the weather slides, let's go to the first one. Okay, the key message here is we are still in a winter storm warning for most all of Kentucky. For Western Kentucky, we're now down to a winter weather advisory. The winter storm warning continues for Central Kentucky from until 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're in Central Kentucky, this winter storm warning is still here. We're still dealing with it until at least 7 p.m. tonight. For Eastern Kentucky, that gets to about midnight Eastern Time. So still another full day today of dealing with this storm. Let's go to the next one. We got a lot of snow yesterday. It was at the high end of most of the projections. We got more snow to the south. where we thought we'd just have rain. We ended up with both snow and ice, and certainly more snow the more north that you went in Kentucky. I-64 corridor, you're going to see, got hit the hardest, with the exception of parts of western Kentucky around the Owensboro area, Union County, and the surrounding counties. But certainly the I-64 corridor got a lot of snow and a lot of ice. When we look at the next slide, that is ice accumulation. That is a significant amount of ice. And while temperatures warmed and while we're really working on the roadways, there is still significant ice, especially on the side streets. You may have a half an inch of ice. You can actually pick it up and feel how heavy and how significant it is. Let's go to the next one. All right. Heaviest snowfall today from mid-morning to late afternoon. It'll be tapering off this evening, and then we think we'll have until Friday when we may see another snowfall. So as you look, again, the I-64 corridor, 1 to 2 more inches. We'll need to be out there cleaning the roads of that. So again, we need as much space and as much time as we can. A little heavier as you get up to northern Kentucky. The confidence here is high, meaning we will get more snow today. Here are the wind gusts. So throughout today, this is going to complicate the work of our utility companies, certainly tapering off a little bit as we move later, but this can also impact you in your vehicle and if you are outside. Next one. So as we get closer to the end of the winter snow warning, what everybody needs to be concerned about is how cold it is going to get moving into tomorrow, but then certainly after that. Now, this graph is a little different than the last ones we've shown you because this is the wind chill forecast. And if you look at Thursday in Lexington, right now we're looking at -4 to -7. So if you do not have power back on by Wednesday and Thursday, it's going to get bitterly cold. You're going to need to find your warming center or talk to other people around you. If you don't have power restored by tonight, you need to be thinking about the plans that you may need to make to be safe. County officials are working really hard to make sure there are those warming centers open. You're going to hear from Eric in a minute. They're even moving some of them when power is going out at them. So you need to be following those local Facebook pages. You could check in with us. Wednesday, Thursday are going to be bitterly cold. We want to make sure that everyone is safe, especially after getting through all the ice and the snow. So just a couple things on the next slides. We got a lot of down power lines. So the next slide is about avoiding them. Just assume that they are all live. Assume that anything that you would do will not protect you from them, regardless of how you try to move them. So please make sure you are safe. And finally, Director Gibson will go through the next piece too, but be careful in staying warm. Don't try to heat your home with the oven. Be careful with candles and open flames. A lot of people still have Christmas trees in their homes, and that could be really dangerous with those open flames. Your generator has to be outside, has to be at least 20 feet from any of your structures. You need to make sure that your extension cord is rated for outdoor activity, especially when some of this starts to melt. It could create some significant problems. Okay, so power outages are still spread across the state, though some counties are hit harder than others. Do we have a map of the current power outages? Okay, we'll try to pull that up. Just to give you an idea, this was about 2 hours ago. KU had about 22,000 outages. Kentucky Power, about 10,000. Clark Energy, 8,800. Kenergy, 8,100. A number of others, right about 5,000. And then some of our co-ops are a little bit below that. And counties with the most power outages, if we could put those up. This was as of 8 a.m. this morning. These are some counties where people may want to be thinking about finding your warming center, at least knowing where it is and getting the address. As we try to get that up, all right, I'll read them. It's Anderson, Bullitt, Clark, Fayette, Floyd, Hardin, Henderson, Johnson, Meade, Spencer, Union, and I think we're hearing that Magoffin County has lost more power here today. So again, we're working with local officials to get the word out to people about where their local warming center is. I would suggest if you're in those counties, be following the news coming from your utilities, but also know where you can go to stay warm. As far as the roads go, many areas are still dealing with a half an inch of ice. Crews did make significant headway overnight as the freezing rain tapered off, and noticeable progress has been made on high volume roads, though even our interstates are still very slick. So I said it in the beginning, just because you can see the blacktop doesn't mean there's not black ice on it. Please be very cautious. This morning, we had a few crashes reported on interstates. We believe they are now all open, but this has been an ongoing issue, whether it's trucks jackknifing or people sliding off the roads. I also want to thank the more than 200 National Guard soldiers who are on call to help get medical personnel to work, as well as our Kentucky State Police troopers and officers who have been responding overnight. In good news, we're thankful that Trooper Landon Key is recovering at home after working a collision on Interstate 65 northbound in Hart County, where his police cruiser was rear-ended by a vehicle traveling north. Very happy he's okay. If you saw the condition of that car, we're very, very happy that he is okay. So now I'm going to turn it over to Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Secretary Jim Gray to provide additional updates on the conditions of our roads. But again, stay home, stay safe. We think we can get a whole lot done today to make travel a lot safer tomorrow. If you do not have power, make sure through your phone and others, you're monitoring it and you know where your warming center is. All right, over to Jim.
Governor, you covered a lot of territory already. Let me say I am in the district office in Lexington, the District 7 office, and that covers Lexington and the counties around us. And of course, I was tracking and monitoring the road conditions myself this morning. And when you use the word treacherous and hazardous and perilous, you are using the right language. Now, the good news is that we got a lot accomplished yesterday. We've looked at this storm really in three phases. The first phase being the heavy snow, the second phase yesterday, the icing conditions, and now it's holding the line against the frigid temperatures that are coming. So our folks are out treating, they're out plowing. Remember, you can plow snow, but you cannot plow ice. I want to thank and acknowledge the 2,300 employees of the cabinet and the contractors that are out fighting the battle that this storm represents. Really want to thank them. 1,400 pieces of equipment fighting and battling this storm. Our folks, this video that's up right now is showing, is given an example illustrating the plowing, and you'll notice that look at the complexity of this activity. James, I appreciate you queuing that up. We've had, thank you. Governor, we're again working tirelessly. I want to emphasize, punctuate what you've said about continuing to be cautious. Our traveling public, if you don't have to drive, if you don't have to get out in this weather, do not do it. Now, some tips. If you do get out, have a car kit. Make sure that you're traveling safely. The governor already mentioned about downed power lines. I want to emphasize that as well. Don't touch them. Don't drive over them. Now, one final thing. If you encounter a signal that's dark, treat it as a four-way stop. Treat it as a four-way stop. Governor, I'll turn it back to you. You mentioned, I will say this, you mentioned that our interstates where we have had crashes, where we have had incidents, they are at this time, there is no backup. There are no backups at this point in time.
Great. Thank you, Jim. Now we'll turn it over to Emergency Management Director Eric Gibson.
Well, thank you very much, Governor, for the introduction and the information that you've provided, as well as Secretary Gray for the information that he's provided. And again, as we work our way through this winter storm event, we're doing the work that our citizens expect us to be doing. We're maintaining this level of service and work through our transportation cabinet workers, through our state police workers, through your county and local officials, and as well at the Emergency Operations Center at the Department of Emergency Management. We're operating a 24-hour facility. We run on 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. shifts, and we're continuing to operate continually throughout this winter weather event, and we will be there to assist any of our citizens or local officials that need or have requests that exceed local capacity. We're there to help you all. We have plenty of our state agencies. We're operating at a level 3, which brings in our state partners from across other state agencies to the Emergency Operations Center to be there to be kind of a hub or a center for these operations to take place. We've got partners in from Energy, Division of Water, Transportation, State Police, Parks. The list goes on and on. National Weather Service has a meteorologist assigned to the Operations Center right now. So we're getting the current and best information that we can get. We're providing that to your governor. We're providing that across to our transportation workers and making sure that we give the very best information and the most current information that we can with our energy cabinet there with us. We're able to look at these energy numbers and talk specifically to your cooperative or energy provider and get an idea of how long you're going to be without power, how long this emergency is going to last there in your community. And we're trying to work with each one of them to do some analysis on how long they anticipate your power is going to be out and coordinate this warming center effort that may be needed as this week goes on. And we see these lower temperatures that the governor's talked about, and we know that there could be some critical cold coming in, zero weather, minus wind chills. Those kind of things are going to create extreme risk to those without power, especially if they don't have that alternative heating source, things that they need those medical devices and things where they need that power to run. So we're trying to prepare now as we've gone through the icing event and we kind of see where our impacted areas are. We're transitioning now to prepare for this long-term event that may be extended power outages for the next few days, where our vulnerable citizens need the assistance of the Commonwealth via the National Guard, the fire departments, the local emergency managers, all those kind of resources that we can coordinate to help those communities survive this next few days as they prepare for and weather this power outages, difficult travel on the roads and things of that nature. So if you are in need of assistance, know that your first call would be to your local emergency management official. They're there. They're working very long hours to make sure your community's safe, working hand in hand with your judge executive and your local police and sheriff's departments. But there is help there locally. If some reason you don't get the information that you need, or it's found to be, there's not a warming center open there, we have other warming centers open across the Commonwealth, and we'll do our very, very best to provide you the closest one to you so you can get the assistance that you need. And our number to call there is on our website. Our webmaster's got that posted up there so you can call. We'll also be providing a list of those warming centers to the governor's office today as they open up, as this need kind of continues throughout this event. Many of our counties already are operating warming centers, and I've been talking to our judges across the Commonwealth, and they're sharing with me just how many they have open and where they are. We have some counties that are at around 50% of their customers are without power. Magoffin County specifically, I've been working with Judge Wireman over there this morning, most of the morning. He's talking to me about how many trees have fallen this morning across his roadways, and his road crews are doing everything they can to clear those paths. His utility outages are nearly 50% right now. One of the community warming centers that was scheduled to be used has lost its power. He's converted that over to the courthouse where they have a backup generator. So even though your county may not be the one struggling, there are other counties that may be. So this information that we're providing, we hope is helpful, and we're making sure that we're getting it out there so all of our citizens across the Commonwealth know that they're there. There is resources available. There are resources available to assist them. A few other things that we're talking about, our local counties and cities are declaring local states of emergency. That number continues to climb, and we're managing those as the day goes on. But we're about 20 counties. We are at 20 counties now, either verbal or written, and we have a total of 14 cities that have declared. As we start talking about power outages, and there's some safety things in the emergency management business, we talk about safety and preparing for these events and continually trying to keep our citizens safe. And sadly, we do report already. We talked about generator safety when I was here a couple of days ago. And between now and then, we've had one house fire that is attributed to a generator fire where someone was running it in an enclosed space and it caught the house on fire. And so we have seen these incidents, and that's why we keep repeating this, because as these events carry on, we know that they do create substantial risk. And we try to keep reminding people, be careful with your heat sources, alternative heating sources, propane heaters, kerosene heaters, little furnaces and things that people have. Things too close to them, flammable materials such as bedding or sheets or drapes are very easy to catch fire when you're using that alternative source. Portable generator safety, I've got another page that's going to come up on that. And then make sure you're checking on your neighbors and the vulnerable citizens that live nearby you. We talk about the generator safety, and I know a lot of people look at this and say, yeah, I know all that. But then there's some people that may not have heard these messages before, and we want to make sure we're continuing to share with you just to put that reminder in your mind. Enclosed spaces, no go there. Don't put a generator in an enclosed space. Make sure you don't even put it near your window. Keep it 20 foot away or greater from your home. Don't run it in a garage. That was the reason for the fire that we dealt with this week already. And then make sure if you do put it outside, you're running a proper cord to handle that elements of the outdoor. Make sure if you're back feeding into your plugged wall outlet, that's not the proper way to run a generator. Some people will try that. Make sure you're using the right extension cord and running a carbon monoxide detector in your home if you're running a generator, just in case that contaminated air is seeping back into your home. And make sure your generator's in good repair if you're going to run it. The other slide that we had was just talking about the space heaters and alternative heat sources and making sure that we have smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. So if you do have a serious event in your home, you're able to get out of doors and call for 911 and get the help that you need. As we go through this today, like I said, we're going to continue this operational plan until this event ends. Our center will be open there in Frankfort. We'll continue to operate. We have working very, very closely with many of the county officials across the Commonwealth, as I've been reaching out all morning and have been reached by many of our judges talking about what they have going on, and we're there to assist them and your local officials. But hats off to those folks back at home there with you. Our local officials, county judges, emergency managers, 911 dispatchers have done some extremely difficult work over the past 24 hours as they prepare, and probably have another at least 24 to 36 hours of difficult work ahead of them. And hats off to the transportation workers, whether it be state, county, city workers, fire departments that have had to brave the cold, EMS workers. Hats off to you guys. You all are really carrying the torch and keeping the Commonwealth safe. Thank you very much, Governor.
All right, so we'll be dealing with Winter Storm Blair until at least 7 o'clock for Central Kentucky, midnight for Eastern Kentucky, and then we will move from dealing with a winter storm to really focused on power outages, and then an extreme cold event that'll be hitting us right after. I anticipate that state office buildings will be open tomorrow, and most businesses will be as well. People do need to plan extra time for your commute tomorrow. Go ahead and bake it in, from when you get up in the morning to how much time you're going to spend to get there. We're going to need to make sure that everybody is safe. And even if you can see that blacktop tomorrow morning, just take extra time, go a little bit slower. Don't get false confidence. Stay off the roads today as long as you can, and that'll get us the best chance to have it in the best condition for tomorrow morning. All right, we'll open it up to some questions. We've got 4 journalists on the line. We'll start with Tom Latek.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning to you. Are you having to keep things geared up for the potential snowstorm Friday and Saturday?
Well, we do believe that there is a potential for some significant snow on Friday. I'm getting my first briefing on that later today, so we'll be providing more information as the week goes on. But I'd say I've been very pleased by the response to this winter storm. We certainly learned a lot through everything we've been through, and it has us responding really at an optimal level that again, I think has enhanced safety across the Commonwealth. But I also want to thank everybody in the media, from TV to print to online, for spreading this word. People knew it was coming, and that is invaluable to the safety of our fellow Kentuckians, our neighbors and friends. Carla Ward from the Herald Leader.
Thanks, Governor. Do you know anything about changes to plans for the legislative session to start?
I've not heard of any changes to the legislative session. I know some advice was being given to travel up tomorrow morning instead of this afternoon. I would encourage that because that gives us that extra time, especially to get the ice, because we don't anticipate any significant additional icing as the day goes on. We do anticipate additional snow. Certainly that can change, but allowing us to treat that. Remember, if it stops in Central Kentucky at 7 and Eastern Kentucky at midnight, that gives us all that extra time going through the night to clean up, meaning tomorrow is going to be a lot better to travel. So I have not heard of any changes. I've provided information to both the Senate President and the Speaker about what this weather event was going to be like, and I know that they're considering the safety of all their members. But from everything I know, the legislative schedule will go on as planned. Karen Czar, WKY.
Thank you, Governor. I have two, please. The first is, if someone needs to get to a warming station and they can't get out or don't have transportation, what's the best agency for them to contact? And then the other is for you and Secretary Gray, if he'd like to comment. Is the state going to be seeking out assistance from other states to help us get through this? Thank you.
I think I can handle both. I think we've got this one handled as a state. Very pleased with the response. The Transportation Cabinet has significant personnel out there. We'll see. The utilities may call in folks from other states. I think they pre-position some, just like we go to Florida and to other places in times of really big storms. But very proud of how our state and local personnel have responded. Remember, there are road crews in each of our counties and in our cities, and they're out there doing this work too. And they deserve all the same thanks that we're giving to our state employees. If you need help, we have a disaster distress helpline. That is 1-800-985-5990. Encourage you to call that number if you are in distress, if you can't get to a warming center. You can also call your local emergency management director. You can get that number online, but certainly the disaster distress helpline. Also, our KSP dispatchers are standing by. We prefer the call, though, come in again to this 1-800-985-5990 number. And finally, we have Carolina from WLEX.
Hi, Governor. I have two. You said we have about 24 hours before the salt is no longer effective, meaning that the roads have to be cleared as soon as possible. As you know, there's a lot of ice out there right now. Is the salt currently working well, or are road crews already having trouble with it? And then you said wind gusts can complicate this response effort, especially for power restoration. So are you anticipating a situation where some people may possibly be without power for a few days?
We are hearing from some of the utilities. They expect people to be without power for a couple of days. Obviously, we're going to push as hard as we can, and they are, to restore it as quickly as possible. But those without power need to be monitoring it pretty closely and knowing where that warming center is. Now, they say that I think half an inch of ice can add about 500 pounds to a power line. So we could lose more power lines as we go through branches or that ice. But we believe the salt is working well. Actually very pleased with the progress overnight on the roads. It's better than we originally anticipated. I feel like the ice tapered off a little earlier than we thought it might, but the road crews and their work overnight has beaten expectations. And now if they can have the full day and we don't have another icing event, I think that we can get at least our main roadways in much better shape. Certainly there are going to be some side roads that are going to be challenging going through the week. So again, to everybody, be careful. Stay off the roads if you can today. Tomorrow, be really careful. Give yourself extra time to get where you're going. And if it takes you a little bit longer, that's okay. It's more important that you get to your destination and get there safely than get there on time. But I would definitely add in that extra time. So folks, other than some minor injuries, other than some damage to cars, we've gotten through this thing pretty well for our people thus far. Let's keep it up. We just have really to get through today for the winter weather event, and then we'll move into this dangerously cold event. But we've dealt with those before. We've gotten through them. We've gotten through them together. Call and check on your neighbors and your friends. If you have power and you know neighbors don't, and you can take them in for a night, make sure that we are being those type of Kentuckians that live out the golden rule and the parable of the Good Samaritan. Let's all look out for each other. Let's get through this week. We'll be back with more updates about the cold as it's coming, the wind chills, and what that means. And then as we learn more and as the forecasts get more accurate and as it gets closer, what we may be looking at Friday and through this next weekend. Thank you all.
Some people just know they can save hundreds on car insurance